What if the person you trusted the most turned out to be a ruthless killer? Imagine a charming, well-spoken man who seemed like the perfect gentleman, only to later discover he was one of the most notorious serial killers in history. This is the chilling story of Ted Bundy, a man who used intelligence, deception, and charm to lure his victims into a deadly trap. How did he trick so many people, and more importantly, could someone like him still exist today? Stay with us as we take a deep dive into the twisted mind of Ted Bundy. Before he became a name that terrified the nation, Ted Bundy was just another boy growing up in post-war America. But his childhood was filled with secrets. Born in 1946, Bundy was raised by his grandparents under the lie that they were his parents, while his real mother was introduced as his sister. This early deception may have shaped his ability to manipulate others so effortlessly. As he grew older, Bundy developed a dual personality. Outwardly, he was intelligent, ambitious, and likable. But underneath, he was cold, calculating, and completely lacking in empathy. Some say he was a master manipulator from the start. Others believe life circumstances pushed him toward darkness. Either way, what happened next was beyond anyone's worst nightmares. Bundy had a type: young, attractive, dark-haired women, many of whom resembled his ex-girlfriend. But it wasn't just about looks. He specifically targeted women who were kind-hearted and trusting, the kind who wouldn't hesitate to help someone in need. His methods were disturbingly clever. Sometimes he faked an injury, pretending to struggle with a cast or crutches, knowing that someone would offer to help. Other times he posed as an authority figure, a police officer or law student, gaining instant trust. Imagine walking through a parking lot and seeing a man struggling with books. Would you stop to help? Many of his victims did, and they never returned. Bundy understood human psychology better than most. He knew how to appear safe, how to sound trustworthy, and how to make his victims let their guard down. Bundy's crime spree stretched across multiple states, from Washington to Utah to Florida. His victims vanished from campuses, shopping centers, and even their own homes. But what made his crimes truly terrifying was how normal he seemed. He didn't lurk in dark alleys. He approached women in broad daylight, in public places, and convinced them to leave with him willingly. Once they were alone, there was no escape. Despite his careful planning, Bundy made mistakes. A few women managed to escape, and their descriptions led police closer to him. But Bundy wasn't just cunning, he was fearless. Even when he was caught, he refused to act like a typical criminal. Bundy was finally arrested in 1975, but his story took a bizarre turn. In an act of pure arrogance, he decided to represent himself in court. He charmed reporters, played mind games with the jury, and even managed to escape from custody twice. His trial became a national spectacle. Women showed up just to see him in person, some even believing he was innocent. Bundy smiled for cameras, gave interviews, and seemed to enjoy every second of the attention. But his luck eventually ran out. In 1989, after years of appeals, he was executed in Florida's electric chair. What makes someone capable of such evil? Experts believe Bundy was a textbook psychopath, charming on the outside, completely empty on the inside. He had no guilt, no remorse, and no hesitation in hurting others. His ability to manipulate people was his most dangerous weapon. Even in prison, he convinced psychologists, reporters, and even women who wrote him letters that he wasn't as bad as people thought. But the truth was far darker than anyone could have imagined. Bundy once said, "We serial killers are your sons, we are your husbands, we are everywhere." A terrifying reminder that the most dangerous people don't always look like monsters. So what can we take away from the case of Ted Bundy? First, danger doesn't always look suspicious. Sometimes it's charming, sometimes it's polite, and sometimes it wears a smile. Second, always trust your instincts. If something feels off, Don't ignore that feeling. Many of Bundy's victims had second thoughts but convinced themselves they were overreacting. If you found this deep dive into Ted Bundy's mind fascinating, let us know in the comments. And if you want more gripping true crime content, hit that like button,